But the fact that Ryan, has gone through 3 top trainers that would have done a great job, Eddie Reynoso, Joe Goosen, and Derrick James.
Correct.
And he's not training with neither of them. He's training with his dad.
Did Ryan Garcia ever allow those trainers to be the boss?
That's why he's back with his dad, because he's the boss. That's why.
Yeah.
Look, Joe Goosen, I know Joe Goosen. My brother used to train with him. He's not going to just let you get away with stuff like that. Derrick James shouldn't either. Eddie Reynoso doesn't need. He's made so much money with Canelo that if you want to come to me, it's going to be under my rules. And if that didn't work, then Ryan's back. So that's I give that big advantage to Barrios to even pull that off.
See, that's the thing about boxing, and Big Baby Miller pointed it out, because there's no structure. We need some kind of structure. In the NFL, the guy has to sit there for the media interview. He shows up on time. Yep. He's got to do it. Yep. And to give you an NFL analogy, think about the Broncos, right? When they had Russell Wilson over there and he had his own office and everything. And it was nothing. It was dysfunctional. Then they hired Sean Payton.
Cut it out.
As a coach, that's like going to train with Goosen or going to train with a world-class trainer, right? And you knew as soon as Sean Payton got there, ain't no one's going to have their own office. And you turn around a couple years later, and they're great. They're in the playoffs, right? That's the thing in boxing, when fighters want it comfortable, right? Sometimes when Miguel Cotto would want to train in certain places because it was more comfortable for him, I thought, I want to see the Miguel Cotto when it's uncomfortable, right? And Cotto's a great fighter, of course, and a serious person. But the fighter really has a little too much control when they reach a certain level sometimes of their own career, which is good in one way, but in another way can limit them athletically. Because boxing is not a comfort business.
Max Kellerman analyzes the Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios matchup, emphasizing that Garcia's natural talent alone won't guarantee victory against Barrios without proper discipline, structured preparation, and consistent training habits.
Do you think it's more of his opponent, where maybe I could get away with training with my dad, compared to if I'm fighting a top dude?
It'd be a big mistake to underestimate him.
Right, and it's like everyone thought he was going to win that fight, and Rolly just outboxed him. Rolly outboxed him and looked good doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy. I wish that Ryan, because he's so talented, I wish he would stick to a coach and really just follow the.
Max Kellerman and Robert Garcia acknowledge Ryan's exceptional abilities, but caution that his frequent trainer changes create instability that could hinder his development against Barrios' unwavering commitment, while both fighters exchange warnings as their confrontation approaches.
Same thing as everybody says, left hand, make sure that's up, you gotta protect it, blah, blah, blah. That's what I would imagine he's saying. And got to take that away. It's probably, a little things like that. They drill a lot of just keeping the hands up all day long. So it's like here, 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 here. But, this freestyle type of boxing, with technique is going to overwhelm this man.
It was a great experience. He's definitely one of a kind. I took a lot from that fight, just being there with somebody with his timing, his skill, his speed. Yeah, just, we're going to use that, in every way, to grow as a fighter.
Your opponent on the 21st, Garcia, hadn't actually won a fight officially since 2023. He's been through a lot of controversies, the scandal with Haney, and then the loss against Rolly Romero. What do you make of all that?
I don't make much of, I have somebody, who's trying to take my title, and I'm looking just to go out there and defend.
So you're looking to put on a big performance, stylistically, what you're going to come with?
Stylistically, I think this is going to be very exciting.
Mario Barrios promises to capitalize on every flaw he's identified in Ryan Garcia's fighting approach, targeting each vulnerability he studied, absolutely determined to protect his championship belt at all costs. Ryan Garcia maintains his confidence despite his trainer's departure, claiming he feels unchanged and remains laser-focused on his preparation for facing Mario Barrios in their upcoming bout.
So you think it's better for you that he's working with a trainer you're familiar with than...
Oh, yeah, in my eyes, But, hey, because I know I've already said some stuff that guy's already told him. But again, like he said, boxing is one-on-one. At the end of the day, he's a free thinker, I'm a free thinker.
Ryan said Joe's not going to stop this fight. It's going to be a physical fight, a bloody fight. You're smiling when you're hearing that. Is that the kind of fight you want?
Not necessarily that it's the fight I want, but it's never a fight that I shy away from. I've gone out of my shield before. Like I said, every time I step in there, I give it, whatever I have that day. And if that's the way like this fight goes, if it ends in a bloody battle, then it does. And I've never shied away from that.
I respect that. I honestly do. I do see that in him. He definitely gives everything he got in that ring, and it's dope to see.
Ryan Garcia's Los Angeles training camp reveals grueling workout sessions, razor-sharp combination work, concentrated drilling routines, and serious fight preparation that demonstrates his commitment to the upcoming challenge.
Lock the top three. Lock the top three. Lock the top 3-2. Yeah. 5-6.
Ryan Garcia unleashes devastating power on the heavy bag during a high-intensity training session that showcases his explosive punching ability. Mario Barrios declares his unwavering resolve to defend his championship, absolutely refusing to allow Ryan Garcia to claim his belt while fiercely protecting his title and legacy.
And I'm looking just to go out there and defend.
So you look put on a big performance, stylistically, what you're going to come with?
Garcia, he's explosive, he's dangerous, and but I think on a boxing level, there's no like competing with us. I think I'm the better fighter, and I'm looking to go out there and like show that on fight night.
You just said you're the better fighter. Who's going to put more on the line with your title or his credibility?
Wade Plemons discusses the southpaw stance's impact on ring strategy and commends Ryan's analytical approach to studying opponents before major fights, noting how Ryan has been examining Keith Thurman and Abel Ramos to prepare for Mario Barrios, considering both gave Barrios difficult nights, while questioning how Ryan's unorthodox boxing style can incorporate lessons from those battles to handle Barrios, recognized as one of boxing's most lethal finishers.
Obviously, both tough nights for Mario Barrios, but I'm interested to see what Ryan takes away from those fights. What can Ryan and his style, that kind of freestyle boxing he says he does, what can he implement from either of those guys to beat Barrios?
One of the best finishers in boxing. Like, I know you didn't finish Devin Haney, but you had him drown.
I saved him. I should have knocked him. I just didn't have the conditioning.
I think it still bothers you, huh?
Yes, because I should have knocked him out in that 11th, man. I was playing around too much. Yeah. And I was like, ha, like, bro. But next time, that next time, buddy,
there we go again.
You won't have a next time. I'm finishing you. You will never box again if we fight again, and you know that. And I have vowed to that. If we fight again, you will never box again. I promise you that.
Gee, this is what I'm saying, bro. We need this fight. I've said it so many times. We need this fight.
Ryan analyzes his Devin Haney fight, admitting that despite dropping Haney, poor conditioning prevented him from securing the knockout, expressing regret about not finishing Haney in the 11th round due to holding back and being too playful, promising complete focus next time. while Wade responds aggressively, threatening that another encounter would end Ryan's career permanently, emphasizing the massive stakes as America's potentially biggest fight approaches in just 9 days.
When someone's against him, when people think he'll lose, when it's a different challenge to him, even though the Rolly fight was a huge challenge. It was a world title shot, right? But you think back through Ryan's career and the fights where he performs better. Oscar Duarte fight, he thought Oscar De La Hoya and all of Golden Boy was against him. Obviously, the Devin Haney fight, no one thought he'd win. The Luke Campbell fight, Luke was an Olympian, so that was a big deal as well. The Gervonta Davis fight, he just lost. I mean, yes, the weight cut, whatever, but Ryan lost. But the mentality of Ryan, that's the thing that's so all over the place from time to time that you just don't know what Ryan you're going to get. I don't know what Ryan we're going to get in the Mario Barrios fight. He's saying all the right stuff. He's trained hard, right? He's acting like this is the one, but mentally is it, right? Because he kind of said the right stuff. He was a little quieter last time with the Rolly fight, but he said the right stuff, and it's hard to know, dude. It is, because another thing you worry about, I keep looking at this picture of Ryan, and I'm seeing a guy that...
Mario Barrios discusses Ryan Garcia with genuine respect for his explosive speed, devastating power, and supreme confidence, acknowledging Ryan's recent unpredictable ring performances, including the puzzling loss to Rolly Romero, contrasted with his stunning Devin Haney victory, while noting how various distractions like the drug test controversy may have impacted Ryan mentally, though ultimately expressing goodwill toward his opponent.
When you look at Ryan as an opponent, obviously I'll put respect on the speed, the power, the confidence, and all that, but it's been a weird stretch for him in the ring, to be fair. The lifeless loss to Rolly Romero, the spectacular victory over Devin Haney, but obviously the drug test, everything that went on around that mentally. And, certainly at the end of the day, we wish Ryan well. How do you sort of gauge where he's at as a fighter entering this fight?
Oh, it's hard to say really, where exactly, he's at, but, I just had to prepare as if, I have a focused Ryan in front of me, as they're saying. And yeah, just, everything else kind of just is just background noise, Wait to look at Ryan's, at his best performances, when he has looked extraordinary.
When questioned about Ryan's current fighting condition, Barrios admits difficulty assessing exactly where Garcia stands as a competitor, explaining his preparation strategy focuses on confronting Ryan at peak performance, training as if the most dangerous version will appear, while dismissing controversies, media stories, and outside distractions as irrelevant background noise that won't affect his readiness to face whatever version of Ryan enters the ring.
One of a kind, he's a character to be around. But no, the move to go be with Joe was gonna happen. Whether this fight with Ryan was made or not. I was definitely, just after the pocket fight, looking at, what steps I wanted to make, moving forward. To just, continue to just grow as a fighter, to just continue to just, work on. I guess, yeah, just to work on myself and, get back to some of the things that has, that got me this far in the first place. Earlier in my career, I was definitely, a lot more aggressive. I had a much higher punch output. And so, my team sat down and were like, why not? Why not change the scenery?
Tim Bradley breaks down Ryan Garcia's tactical approach against Mario Barrios, concentrating on perfect timing and surgical precision, explaining how Ryan exploits Barrios' movement by snapping jabs and timing his opponent's level changes, particularly highlighting the devastating 45 punch, a hook-uppercut hybrid popularized by Oscar De La Hoya, that Ryan has mastered as a dangerous weapon Barrios must respect.
Because Barrios is a counterpuncher and he likes to stay, again, close to mid-range to outside, mid-range to outside. So he's like, a step or two, I would say a step, right in mid-range when he's firing shots. And so sometimes he'll throw those single jabs at mid-range, and he can be countered with the right hand. But we all know that Ryan Garcia, hopefully his right hand is back, operating. If his right hand is operating, he should have a field day, taking advantage of that, mid-range jab coming from Barrios. And he does it a lot, man. He really does. A lot of stuff that he does, he has good form and technique on it, Barrios. But it's just subtle mistakes that he makes. like just stand near the pocket after he gets done working, so guys can attack him after he gets done.
Bradley identifies Barrios' key weaknesses throughout his career, particularly his susceptibility to body shots that drain his stamina and performance, plus his vulnerability to clean right hands and left hooks despite being a powerful right-hand puncher himself, noting how Barrios operates as a counterpuncher, preferring mid-range combat while firing single jabs that create openings. Ryan could exploit with his speed, timing, and precision if his right hand functions optimally.
He swells quickly, man. Yeah, he gets damaged really easily. You touch him, he starts to bruise up immediately, starts to swell up immediately. So I think Ryan having those heavy hands, I think that can be an issue in the fight as well. Those eyes will start swelling, that nose will start swelling up. I've seen, eyes and nose swell up on Barrios, man, and he looked like, real bad, the Elephant Man, after fight. So I think that's something that we got to take into consideration as well. I think, again, let's go back to the trainer. I think it's going to favor Barrios, the fact that he knows that his trainer knows Garcia. It's going to favor him. He's going to know, the approach, on how to get to Ryan Garcia. He's seen him in sparring.
Chris Algieri emphasizes what Ryan Garcia contributes to boxing through his massive popularity and star appeal, contrasting him with George Kambosos, who possessed strong work ethic but lacked natural talent and star quality, while Ryan captivates audiences through charisma, physical gifts, and spectacular style that creates must-see television. Though noting Ryan hasn't achieved world championship status makes comparisons difficult, since Kambosos earned his breakthrough victory over Teofimo Lopez through pure determination.
Mentioned it from the onset about being a star. Kambosos was never a star. Kambosos was never that popular, not the way that Ryan Garcia is. So Ryan's here because of that. And yes, he does have some physical gifts and a ton of physical talent, and physical gifts that make him, must-watch TV when he's on. But we haven't seen him on in a long time, and he hasn't gotten to that position. It's hard to compare him with George because George was the opposite. George was just a hard worker. George always came in shape, but in terms of talent, he was lacking. He got that big win off of heart and grit, and man, did he cash out on that win, because he made so much money after those fights, got himself into so many opportunities that he never would have gotten if he had lost to Teofimo Lopez and became undisputed. Ryan is still yet to be world champion. These guys are almost like literally polar opposites of each other.
Robert Garcia stresses that while trainers provide guidance, ultimate success depends entirely on the fighter's personal dedication, explaining that exceptional trainer skills mean nothing if fighters won't listen, respond, or commit to the work, pointing out how successful fighters like Ryan often become their own decision-makers surrounded by yes-men staff, creating challenges for technical improvement and discipline that even elite trainers cannot overcome, comparing this to Todd Marinovich, whose undeniable talent was undermined by personal and external pressures.
Look, every trainer is going to do his best to try to correct that and try to get Ryan to do it. But at the end, it's going to be Ryan himself. It's his things going on in his world, his family, his friends, himself with all those, personal problems. At the end, there's nothing a trainer could do if the fighter doesn't respond, if the fighter doesn't listen, if the fighter doesn't do it. And most of the times, when fighters are that big, like Ryan is, they're the bosses. They call the shots, and the trainers, everybody around them, are just the yes men. And that's a problem. That's a problem, and we can't fix that with nobody. You could be the best trainer in the world, but if you got a boss, as a fighter, then and you're a yes man, there's nothing you could do. Ain't nobody gonna fix that.
That concludes today's coverage. Stay tuned for our next update.